From childhood, a single elder sister made me lower than my younger sister. When my sister got into trouble, I took the blame. When she played, I kept her company. No one ever asked if I was willing. Because I was the elder sister, it was only natural. Even marriage was no exception. The crown prince couldn't bear to wrong my sister, yet wanted the Shen family's support, so he chose me. My mother shielded my sister. Mingzhao is resilient. She can scheme for your highness. My mother and the crown prince played off each other, and my marriage was hastily settled. My sister got her wish, marrying a carefree prince, traveling mountains and rivers every day. I was forced into the Eastern Palace. Amidst deceit and intrigue, everyone assumed that as the eldest daughter, I was born strong until the day of the coup. The rebel king took me and my sister hostage, demanding a choice of one to release. Without hesitation, everyone chose me. Thus, the rebel king thought I was the most important. I was taken to the enemy camp, endured humiliation, and cried as I took my own life. Reborn, at the flower viewing banquet, I refused the flower the crown prince offered. Your highness, this humble woman's heart already belongs to another. Too, only the wind through the trees remained. Zhu Yanji's hand, holding the flower, froze. The next moment, my mother abruptly stood, her voice cold. Her heart belongs to your highness. Mingzhao, take the flower now. I looked at my mother and bit my tongue. Zhu Yanji wanted to marry my 15-year-old younger sister, but my sister cried, saying she didn't want to enter the deep palace, so he settled for second best, giving the flower to me. In my past life, I had looked at my mother the same way. My mother carried an aura that brooked no refusal. To be sought in marriage by the crown prince is a gift from heaven. Mingzhao, why aren't you kneeling in thanks? I was used to obeying my mother. I took the flower. Later I paid with my life. It was no gift, it was a calamity. Reborn. My mother and I gazed at each other across the space. My mother set down her teacup heavily. I let out a soft breath. My voice was low, but firm enough. Mingzhao indeed has someone in her heart. Zhu Yanji's eyes faltered. The air was terrifyingly still. My mother's anger flared, her sharp gaze as if to pierce through me. No one dared to speak. In the end, Zhu Yanji broke the silence. He turned back to my sister. Mingshu, if you're willing, I can keep the rear courtyard empty for you. You love fun, and my Eastern Palace is large enough. You fear rules, but with me here, no one will dare constrain you. My sister's hand, reaching for the silver melon pastry, paused, her body trembling. My mother's look at my sister was the gentlest I had ever seen. She said softly, Your Highness, Mingshu is still young. In the end, Zhu Yanji conceded. He tried to pressure, but the moment my sister's tears fell, he lost. My mother and Zhu Yanji busied themselves comforting my sister. They had no time for me. I felt a bit lighter, turned, and left, for in my past life I had once loved Zhu Yanji. In the summer heat, a friend from Lingnan sent a basket of fresh lychees by fast horse. My sister, greedy, ate them all. I stood there, staring at the basket with only leaves left. For the first time, I lost my temper at my sister. These were for me from my friend. In front of all the guests, my mother slapped me. Just a basket of lychees. As the eldest sister, you should yield. The scene fell silent, whether from embarrassment or because I didn't get to eat the lychees. I couldn't stop my tears. My mother's anger flared. And you're still feeling wronged, crying and sniffling, a 20-year-old girl, no grace at all. With that, she ordered me sent to the ancestral hall to repent. Somehow, this got to Zhu Yanji's ears. That night, he came personally, using an excuse. He took me out. The door to the private room at the Wind and Moon Pavilion opened. In front of me were several baskets full of lychees. All for you. I started cautiously, then wolfed them down. Lychees stuffed my mouth. Zhu Yanji propped his face on his hand, watching me smile. I mumbled, Mingzhao has been rude. Zhu Yanji gently wiped the corner of my mouth. Since we're to marry, you are my wife. Husband and wife are one. From now on, in front of me, you can be yourself. 5. I had been strictly taught by my mother since childhood, forgetting what myself meant, kneeling in the ancestral hall to repent. I almost believed it was my fault, that I shouldn't have yelled at my sister over a craving, but now someone was telling me I could be myself. 3 years of marriage, he did as he said, let me be myself for a while. As the new year approached, my mother wanted me to attend every banquet, build connections. Zhu Yanji could tell I was unwilling. In private, he asked me, do you want to go? I shook my head instinctively. The next day, Zhu Yanji turned down every invitation, claiming I was bedridden with a cold. Instead, under the guise of official business, he took me to Song Mountain to watch the snowfall. I ran wild through the mountains, shouting, rolling in the snow, like a child licking the ice off a pillar, my tongue frozen to it. Zhu Yanji laughed and came to my rescue with warm water. I blinked up at him, my face flushed. Your Highness must think me a fool. Zhu Yanji's expression softened. By my side, you can just be Shen Mingjiao. My nose stung instantly. For the first time since I'd learned to hold back tears, I cried in front of someone, snot and tears streaming down my face that day. I gave my whole heart to Zhu Yanji until later, when my little sister returned to the capital with the Prince of Xiong at the banquet. Zhu Yanji gazed at her from afar, and after that, he couldn't see me anymore. My little sister was surrounded by a crowd, her voice bright as she recounted her adventures. Zhu Yanji couldn't bear to look away for even a second. He watched her all night, and I watched him all night. That night, Zhu Yanji took me with a savage intensity. He kept at it until dawn, missing the morning court session. When my mother found out, she came to punish me. I couldn't even kneel properly. But Zhu Yanji couldn't spare me a glance. His eyes were glued to my little sister building a snowman outside the manor. By the time he remembered me, I had already been kneeling for a day. The cold seeped into my bones, leaving my knees permanently damaged. Zhu Yanji was racked with guilt, searching the realm for the best physicians to heal me. He poured all his wealth and energy into me. Outsiders said, "The crown princess is so favored," but only I knew he indulged my wildness only to catch a glimpse of my little sister in me. In public, he played the devoted husband. In private, he slept every night clutching a handkerchief my little sister had carelessly discarded. 3 months after my little sister returned to the capital, the emperor died. The rebel prince launched a coup, capturing both me and my little sister as leverage. Zhu Yanji and the Prince of Xiong fought their way in. Cornered, the rebel prince could only take one hostage, so he asked, "Two of you, I can only let one go. Which one?" Zhu Yanji and my mother chose me without hesitation. The rebel prince assumed that since they chose me, I was the most important. He let my little sister go, but Zhu Yanji and my mother had chosen me deliberately. I was taken as a hostage. The rebel prince was pushed to the brink. My mother stood in the wind, her voice bone chilling. "Mingjiao, if you still have any sense of honor, end yourself." I looked at Zhu Yanji, his robes billowing. He stood there, cold and silent, so I wept, and slit my own throat. 6. Slitting my throat really hurt. I sat in the forest, touching my smooth neck. A faint rustle of footsteps sounded. I turned to look. It was Zhu Yanji. He stared at my neck, his fingers curling slightly. "Miss, why did you suddenly leave the banquet? Are you feeling unwell?" I answered honestly. I figured there was no more place for Mingjiao here, so I left. Zhu Yanji looked at my expressionless face. He said softly, "What if your mother punishes you?" I turned my face away. "Your Highness is busy with state affairs. Why trouble yourself with such trivial matters?" The air fell silent. I thought he'd leave since there was nothing more to say, but he didn't leave, so I wanted to. He subtly blocked my path. "May I ask which young master has captured Miss Mingjiao's heart?" I put on a graceful smile. "A maiden's heart is not for sharing." Zhu Yanji turned away, laughing bitterly. I was meddling. I didn't reply. Watching him leave, when I turned back, I met my mother's blazing eyes. "Do you know your wrongs?" 7. The forest was still. A few leaves were lifted by the wind, spinning in the air before landing before me. I looked at my mother. "Mother, I just don't want to marry. Is that a wrong?" 2. The moment the words left my mouth, a crisp slap sent my head snapping to the side. My mother's voice was sharp with disappointment. "As the eldest daughter, you should bear the family's glory. Let me tell you your wrongs. Neglecting the family's future, that's the first. Defying your mother, that's the second. Nearly putting your little sister in danger, that's the third." Each word struck like a hammer, spoken as if it were only right. I finally voiced what I had buried deep in my heart. "And what about little sister? Why could she do whatever she wanted, without a care?" My mother frowned. "She's so young, why force her? With you here, she'll always be safe. As the eldest daughter, this is your fate." My mother said it as if it were the most natural thing in the world, as if being the eldest sister meant I had to be restrained, follow every rule, and live by every decree. Not even the right to be angry when my own lychees are eaten. But my little sister is only 5 years younger than me. When I was 15, mother said I was grown and made me give the silver melon pastry to my little sister. Yet now, my little sister is also 15 and she still gets to eat the silver melon pastry. The light in my eyes dims further, mother's sigh is barely audible. I went through the same thing back then. This is what it means to be the eldest daughter. I want to say, I don't want to be this eldest daughter. I want to run wild on the grass, tugging a kite once. I want to throw a tantrum for something I can't have, and cry my heart out. Dark clouds have gathered without warning, the wind rages. Mother's hoarse voice cuts through. Your father gave you the chance to live. Do you understand his grace? The words at the tip of my tongue swallow back down. The weight of duty is too heavy, it crushes me, leaving me speechless. Father died in a fortress city on the border. That year I was 5. A traitor in the court delayed the military intelligence. Father was trapped, isolated, and without support. The messengers he sent were all killed. With less than a month before the city fell, father took a desperate gamble, hiding me among the dead bodies and tossing me out. Perhaps no one thought a child would be sent to deliver the message, or maybe they couldn't believe it. A 5-year-old child, with just a map and a pair of legs, actually found the southern border 1,000 miles away a month later and brought back reinforcements. But it was too late. Father's head hung on the city wall. Mother, cornered, jumped into the river to prove her integrity. I cried until I passed out. Mother was pulled from the river, still breathing, not just breathing, but pregnant. I watched over her day and night, not daring to relax. When mother woke, her first look at me was terrifyingly calm. Your father is dead. From now on, this family depends on you and me. Understand? I nodded numbly. Back then, I didn't understand what it meant. Later, I did. Mother no longer needed a daughter, but a tool to carry on the family's glory. All my siblings were dead, only I survived by delivering that message, so I had to live in place of the dead, carrying everyone's burdens. Mother was harsh on me, even harsher on herself. Under that crushing pressure, she poured all her tenderness into the unborn little sister in her belly. She was the child who suffered with mother in the womb, the last child of father and mother, the youngest in the family, so she gave all her love to my little sister, so much so that in my past life, when the rebel prince took me hostage, she wanted me to sacrifice myself for the greater good in her eyes. That was what the eldest daughter should do. After all, I was the one who survived, but if I had the choice, I'd rather have died on the road back from delivering that message. 9 now, it's done, and the die is cast. No matter how much I wish, I'm still alive. The responsibilities I don't want to bear are still here. Looking at mother, who exhausts herself for the family, she oppresses herself even more than she does me. The resentment in my heart turns into a bitter, unspeakable ache. I'm human too. I get tired. I feel pain. In my past life, I already paid back a life. In this life I want to be Shen Mingjiao, not the eldest daughter of the Shen family, so I speak softly. The royal family's conflicts are endless. I can't handle them. I'm here. I'll help you. The rain suddenly falls. I watch the huge raindrops hit the leaves. Mother, Mingjiao wants to live an easier life too. A long pause. Mother turns, her voice unreadable. Fine. I lower my eyes, my voice melting into the rain. Thank you. Mother. A few days later, mother calls me to the study. She looks up coldly, asking one last time, you want an easy life? I nod, yes. She tosses out a booklet. Then fine, don't regret it. Mother's finger taps page by page. Prince Shennan, age 52, you'd marry him as a second wife. Marquis Dingbei, age 37, except for a cousin concubine who's his childhood sweetheart. Everything else is fine. Duke of Qin, age 22, of noble birth, never had a chambermaid. I lift my eyes. Everyone in the capital knows he prefers men. What would I be if I married him? Mother smiles coldly, but his back courtyard is empty, and his mother died young. If you marry him, you'll secure our family's wealth and honor, and satisfy your wish for an easy, happy life. You can't have both the fish and the bear's paw. I unconsciously grip the hem of my clothes. Would you do the same for my little sister? Meeting my direct gaze, my mother's expression froze. With you here, she only needs to consider whether she likes it or not. I looked at my nearly heartless mother. And what about me? There was no trace of emotion in my mother's eyes. Mingjiao, this is your fate. My throat felt like it was stuffed with a lump of bread, choking me until it ached. I slowly lowered my head. From outside the door came my little sister's bell-like, crisp laughter. Mother, come quick. Look at the lantern Mingzhu made. Isn't it pretty? My mother stood up and hurried out. My little sister had run too fast. Mother caught her, smiling gently. Silly child, didn't I tell you to slow down? If you fall, it'll hurt a lot, I said. Mother, let me think it over a bit more. In front of my little sister, my mother couldn't help but soften. Fine. I left in a rush. 11. Spring brought rain. It pattered down all night long. I locked myself away at home. I thought for a long time, so long that when my little sister came to find me, I didn't even hear her. My mother, dressed in fine robes, held a lantern in her hand. The dragon parade is on. Take your little sister out for a stroll. I glanced at the unfinished embroidery in my hands. My mother paused, still not going. I put down my things. I stood up. The streets were bustling. My little sister was lively and spirited, diving into the crowd like a nimble fish. I didn't dare fall even a step behind. Once, a year ago, I lost track of my little sister. In a blink, she charged up to the young lord, scolding him on the spot for mistreating a maid. She spoke up for justice, saving that humiliated maid. Ju Yenji and the Prince of Xiong met my little sister that day. Her name spread across the capital. I was punished by my mother. 3 days of kneeling. You shouldn't have lost sight of your sister. If the Prince of Xiong hadn't shown up in time, that young lord would have killed her with one slash. I bowed my head. Copying Buddhist scriptures, Mingjiao admits her mistake. From then on, whenever my little sister went out to play the hero, I stuck to her like glue. She played the chivalrous maiden. I cleaned up the mess just like now. Ju Yenji appeared on the main street, ambushed by assassins. My little sister, reckless and clueless, drew her sword and rushed forward to help. I frowned, sighed, and followed. Chaos erupted. Seeing my little sister about to have her throat slit, I steeled myself. I grabbed the blade with my bare hand, shielding her. Blood dripped down. Drop by drop, my little sister grabbed Ju Yenji and ran, leaving me surrounded by assassins. Ju Yenji slowed his steps for a moment. He looked back at me. A guard beside him shouted, "Your Highness, flee now." My little sister panicked too. "Your Highness, run faster. Once you're safe, I'll come back to save my sister." So Ju Yenji never looked back again. Blade light flashed before my eyes. I closed them. Asterisk clang. Asterisk. An arrow knocked the long sword away. A second arrow took the assassin's life. At the end of the crowd, someone walked against the tide. Jiyu Yang, in his dark flying fish uniform, wore a cold expression. "Miss Shen." His gaze fell on my hand, and he spoke slowly. "There's a clinic not far ahead." I snapped back to reality. "Thank you, sir, I'm fine." Jiyu Yang had his subordinate escort me home while he went to find Ju Yenji. I barely reached the door. A crisp slap echoed in the courtyard. I stood frozen, my mind blank. My mother's voice was bitter. "Your sister's fate hangs in the balance, and you dare come back? Shen Mingjiao, you've grown bold. I told you to marry the crown prince, and you refused. I told you to protect your sister, and you didn't. You only care about your own comfort. Are you worthy of your father and your dead siblings?" Her words barely faded. My little sister's voice rang out, "Mother." Her clean little face now bore a bloody scratch. Wrapped in a cloak, she stood in the lamplight. The anger on my mother's face instantly turned to joy. She flew to embrace my little sister. "Are you hurt? Does it ache?" My little sister shook her head, saying she was fine. "Mother," I charged in myself, "please don't hit sister anymore." "Okay, then." My little sister looked at me. "Sister, I wanted to take the crown prince to safety first, then come back for you. Are you okay?" I shook my head. My mother sighed and led my little sister to see the family physician. She brushed past me. "I'll let today slide, but your marriage to the crown prince is non-negotiable." I stared at the blue stone slabs. "I won't marry him." My mother stopped abruptly, turned, and stared at me. "Say that again." I lifted my gaze. "I, Shen Mingjiao, swear here and now, I will never set foot in the Eastern Palace in this life." My right cheek took another slap. Burning with pain, my mother's breath was unsteady, her teeth clenched. "Shen Mingjiao." I raised my head. "Even if you kill me, I would still say the same." Mother stood frozen in place. Her eyes reflected my stubborn face. This version of me felt utterly foreign to her. In that moment, a flicker of panic swept through her heart, as if something was slipping out of her grasp. So she summoned the servants. "Guards, take the eldest miss to the ancestral hall for reflection. No food until she sees reason." I turned sharply and headed for the ancestral hall. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of the main gate. There was a pale blue hem there, I remembered it was the fabric Ju Yenji often wore. 12. I was reflecting in the ancestral hall. My little sister secretly came to see me. Mother scolded her. What are you doing here? Your wounds have just been treated. My little sister stared longingly at the ancestral hall. But, Mother interrupted, Mingshu, be obedient. Your sister did something wrong, and she must be punished. My little sister looked back every few steps as Mother coaxed and dragged her away. The candlelight was dim and quiet. I knelt before the rows of ancestral tablets, staring at the deep, bone-visible wounds on my palms. Lost in thought, after a long while I kowtowed to the towering tablets and whispered, Father, second brother, third brother, fourth sister. I've made up my mind. Dawn. The sky began to pale. I opened the wooden door of the ancestral hall, turned my head, and said to the matron guarding me, Take me to see Mother. Mother sat upright in the study. When she saw me enter, she didn't even lift her eyes. I performed a grand kneeling bow to her. Her hand, flipping through documents, paused. My forehead rested on the back of my hands. It was Mingzhao's fault. Mingzhao just wanted to be herself for once. At the autumn hunting banquet. Let me have my way. From now on, I will have no other thoughts. My heart will be set solely on the Shen family's future. Only then did she see the blood-stained wounds on my hands. A sliver of slanting sunlight fell, casting a glow on Mother's cheek. The cold expression finally cracked, and she said, You may leave. I respectfully withdrew. This was her agreement. After that day, I once again became the eldest daughter of the Shen family in the eyes of the world, composed in temperament, proper in conduct, leaving no fault to be found. A few months later, summer arrived. Just like in my past life, a friend sent lychees by swift horse. I accompanied the eldest princess in worshipping Buddha. When I returned home, the basket still held only leaves. I paused for a moment. Ju Yenji came to find my little sister. Standing under the corridor, he raised his hand. Go, share a basket of the newly offered lychees from Lingnan with the eldest Miss Shen. A water curtain used for cooling separated us. I said, Thank you for your kindness, Your Highness, but Mingzhao doesn't like lychees. It's better to send them to my little sister. Ju Yenji's thin lips tightened slightly. I bowed and turned to leave. 13. After that day, I never saw Ju Yenji again. He still liked to visit the Shen residence, but only to bring my little sister some rare trinkets. Occasionally, he would ask about me. My little sister twirled a sword flower. Sister is always busy. The noble ladies consider it an honor when she attends their banquets. Ju Yenji fell silent. Sometimes, he would stay until dusk, but I knew he was there, so I didn't come back. Thus, we didn't meet again until the autumn hunting banquet in October. The Empress had long intended for me to be the crown princess. Seeing me today, she liked me so much she couldn't bear to let go of my hand. She asked me if I could ride and shoot. I nodded. The Empress was free-spirited and waved her hand grandly. Come, let's have a match. I respectfully agreed. Since it's a competition, Your Majesty, is there a prize? The Empress laughed heartily. What do you want? I wish for Your Majesty's good health. The Empress smiled even more. That's hardly a prize. Choose something else. I smiled lightly. Mingzhao truly doesn't know what to ask for. Let me think about it for now. I followed the palace attendants to change clothes. The attendants withdrew, and Ju Yenji appeared. His ink-black hair was tied high, his light armor showing off his straight back. He called to me softly. Mingzhao, you've come back too, haven't you? I said calmly. I don't know what Your Highness is talking about. The wind brushed the tips of the grass, sweeping past Ju Yenji's robes. He looked at me and said with difficulty, You hate me for not saving you, don't you? That's why in this life, you won't eat the lychees I send, and you'd rather defy Lady Pei than enter the Eastern Palace. You approached my mother, lured her into a shooting contest. What are you seeking? Hate. Aside from not loving me, he had done nothing wrong to me. I lowered my eyes, weighing how to answer. He spoke first. Is it to seek a favor, not to marry me? Looking at the man before me, the corners of his eyes reddening, I suddenly let out a soft laugh. Your Highness, I only have one heart. How can I give it to both my little sister and you? But you did hit on one thing. I truly don't want to marry you. Her light, airy tone scraped across Ju Yenji's heart, stirring a pang of bitterness. I brushed past him and entered the tent. When I came out again, waiting for me was the Empress, radiant and spirited, seated on her horse. I mounted my own steed. The Empress called out loudly, Beg for mercy, and I might go easy on you, My heart stirred, and my voice carried a hint of coyness. "Please, Your Majesty, spare me." Mother stood in the distance, the laughter of the Empress, and I drifted through the wind. My bright, dazzling smile was far too conspicuous. Her throat suddenly went dry. She downed a cup of wine, then poured another. She had forgotten when the last time I smiled at her like that was, she thought. Once I married into the Eastern Palace, she could loosen the reins a little. 14. There was no later. No sooner had we entered the hunting grounds than the Empress and I were ambushed by assassins. I risked my life to take the Empress away, hiding her in a cave. I draped her cloak over myself and pinned her hair ornament in place. "Your Majesty, if Mingzhao doesn't make it back, I only ask that you take care of my mother and little sister at home." The Empress grabbed my hand. "Don't go." I thought back to my past life, to Mother's words, if you still hold righteousness in your heart, comparing the two, the contrast was painfully humiliating. The Empress, whom I had only met once in this life, cared whether I lived or died, but my own mother, without hesitation, urged me to die. The faint sound of assassins searching echoed in my ears. I forced a gentle smile and left without looking back. Mother, hearing of assassins on the outskirts, shot to her feet. "Mingzhao is still in there." She immediately grabbed her bow and arrows, ready to ride with Jiyu Yang to rescue the Emperor. Just then, my little sister's cries came from the tent. "Mother, there are assassins here too." Mother reined in her horse. She glanced at Jiyu Yang, then toward the tent. Finally, gritting her teeth, she said, "Lord Jiyu, I entrust Minga's safety to you, after rescuing my little sister." Mother finally galloped frantically into the hunting grounds. Meanwhile, I was cornered with no way out. An arrow struck my shoulder. With every step I ran, blood flowed. "Mingzhao!" Mother's heart-wrenching scream reached me. I gave her one last look. Without hesitation, I turned and leaped off the cliff. 15. The Shun family was full of loyal martyrs. First, the general died defending the city. Then, the eldest daughter died saving the Empress. The Empress personally led a search for a month, but all she found were a few blood-stained scraps of cloth. Zhu Yanji, who had just returned from rescuing the Emperor, rushed over upon hearing the news. Seeing the raging, rushing river, he could barely walk. He and Mingzhao both carried memories of their past lives. Today's assassination was orchestrated by remnants of the former dynasty to win the Emperor's favor. He had gone to save His Majesty. He thought Mingzhao would save the Empress and use it to beg for a favor, but instead, she died so decisively. His heart suddenly felt like it had a gaping hole. Zhu Yanji was lost and dazed. In both this life and the last, he had failed to protect her. On the other side, Lady Shen sat disheveled on the jagged rocks, staring up at the 100-jong-high cliff. Her eldest daughter's resolute gaze before death was vivid before her eyes. So disappointed, so sorrowful, as if to say, "Mother, you came too late." Lady Shen wept bitterly. A box of scar cream fell from her embrace. She only then remembered she had specially sought it out for Mingzhao. It was meant as a reward for this betrothal to Zhu Yanji. Now, there was no chance to give it. The Shun family's eldest daughter was dead. The emperor posthumously granted her the title of Commandery Princess, rewarded her family with 10,000 taels of gold, and 3,000 households of fief income, all to be managed by Lady Shun. Thus, the Shun household regained its former glory. No one in the capital dared to look down on the Shun family anymore. I sat in the courtyard, dressed in plain clothes, watching the crabapple blossoms fall, listening to mother's restrained sobs as she passed by the coffin. Jiyu Yang stood behind me. "Have you decided where to go?" I took the bowl of medicinal soup from his hand. "Not yet," he said casually. "Go to Jiangnan. The people there are simple. The mountains and waters pleasant." The clamor of drums and gongs faded into the distance. I nodded. "That works." 16. I had faked my death, but I was not far from dying. Though there was water at the base of the cliff, I had broken my arm and suffered internal injuries. I crawled ashore with my last strength and passed out. When I woke again, the sound of cries for help was unending. I closed my eyes. I resolved to crawl back into the water and drown myself. A dark shadow loomed over me. Jiyu Yang recognized my face, and a light flickered in his eyes. "Miss Shin," I grabbed his sleeve. "Please, I beg you, don't call anyone." The sound of footsteps drew closer. Panic seized me. "Please, I don't want to be taken back." I stammered, my lips barely moving. "I barely escaped. Please, help me." He stared down at me, His gaze heavy, a voice called out from afar, "Lord Gu." A tear of despair slipped down my cheek, and so, the iron-faced, impartial embroidered uniform guard had his first moment of selfishness. He blocked the people heading this way. "Nothing here." The guards retreated. Gu Yang crouched down. "Why do you want to run? Is your life so unbearable?" I said. "It's worse than death." Gu Yang scooped me up. Dodging the guards with ease, he hid me in this little courtyard. 17. I couldn't wait to heal. A month later, I left the city with a fake identity. Only after leaving the capital did I gaze at the vast sky and earth, feeling a surreal sense of freedom. Gu Yang followed behind me. He called for me to slow down, but I heard nothing. Spurring my horse forward, I was like a swallow trapped for years, finally free, riding the spring breeze with pride. At night, we rested in the woods. Only then did I remember. Gu Yang, "Lord Gu, you've worked hard in the capital for years. You don't have to transfer back to Jiangnan for me." He stared at the campfire. "Who said it was for you? Jiangnan is my hometown. It's only right for me to return." I was about to speak. A chicken leg was shoved to my lips. I nibbled at it slowly. Gu Yang stood up and left. Seeing no one around, I started devouring it. Tap. A bamboo tube filled with water was placed beside me. Gu Yang looked at me expressionlessly. I froze. Without a word, he sat across from me and tore into the chicken with big bites. I lowered my head so I wasn't the only one, and eating with big bites felt amazing. It took 3 months to travel from the capital to Jiangnan. Gu Yang led me to a small courtyard to settle down. He said it was his former home. I waved my hand, saying I couldn't stay. He shot me a sideways glance. "I saved you, and you won't even help me fix up this old house." The refusal on my lips eventually turned into a simple okay. From then on, I settled in a small town in Jiangnan. I lived in Gu Yang's house. He stayed in a small courtyard outside the government office. I thought Gu Yang saved me purely out of kindness, but no, he was working me like a mule. One day it was replacing some furniture, the next it was repairing a wall. My money quickly ran out. Left with no choice, I set up a stall selling food. In the past, my mother never allowed me to do such vulgar things. Even on my birthday, when I made a table full of dishes, she never took a single bite. Now, I was in the kitchen, swinging a smoking spatula. "Lady Ming, what's taking so long? I'm starving." Almost there, almost there. "Lady Ming, any fish today?" "Yes, Lady Ming, the table's full. I wiped my sweat and smiled. "Come back tomorrow." The old woman laughed. "I'll just eat standing up." My smile faded. Evening, I sent off the last diner. Collapsing from exhaustion, familiar footsteps approached. Gu Yang set down his sword. "How much did you earn today?" My interest piqued. I leaned on the table to count the money. 20 taels. Gu Yang smirked. "Hand it all over." My eyes widened, and I stood up to snatch it back. Gu Yang was wicked, deliberately holding the silver high, watching me jump for it. He even pressed down on my head. A sycophantic voice approached. "Master, this is the best place in town for food." A man stepped into the light, his brocade robes exuding nobility and ease until he saw my face. Zhu Yenji lost his composure, his voice choked with emotion. "Ming Zhao, you faked your death just to run off with your lover." 18. Zhu Yenji sat before me with a split lip. Gu Yang was outside, wiping his sword. I set down a bowl of plain noodles. "There's more to what happened back then. Please, Your Highness, don't blame my friend." Before Zhu Yenji could finish his lover remark, my anger was outpaced by Gu Yang's slap. I stood dumbfounded, watching Gu Yang pin Zhu Yenji to the ground and beat him. Zhu Yenji was rescued by his guards. He swore to have Gu Yang's entire family buried with him. Gu Yang was defiant. "My entire clan is just me. Do what you will, but before you kill me, let's see if you can even leave this place." The atmosphere was tense. A fight was about to break out. I stepped between them, channeling my decade-plus experience as a peacemaker. "Your Highness, please sit." "Gu Yang, come with me." The plain noodles sat quietly between Zhu Yenji and me. The aroma was tempting. Zhu Yenji stared at me intently. "So, after being gravely wounded and rescued, why didn't you go home?" I smiled. "Your Highness, 2 lives should be enough to repay the debt of being raised." Zhu Yenji fell silent. He knew what I meant. I tapped the table lightly. "Your Highness, the noodles are getting cold." He picked up his chopsticks. Soon, the soup bowl was empty. He stared at the chopsticks in his hand, a hint of loneliness creeping into his eyes. "Delicious, but you never made it for me." Not once, I said. Mother forbade it. His voice dropped even lower. Mingjiao, let's talk, I sighed, stood up, and followed him out. The moonlight was cold, the river shimmering. Zhu Yanji and I sat on the ground. What does your highness wish to say? Zhu Yanji took a deep breath, as if steeling himself. Mingjiao, come back to me, I swear. This time I won't let you fall into danger. You can be yourself, I said firmly. No. Zhu Yanji suddenly grabbed my hand. Why? Is it because of that wild man just now? I winced in pain and kicked him. Zhu Yanji fell to the ground. Disbelief in his eyes. You kicked me for him, Mingjiao, that's not like you at all. I let out a bitter laugh. Because you've never understood me, nor yourself, your highness. Why do you want me back? Zhu Yanji averted his gaze. Naturally, because I cherish you. I may love Mingshu's carefree spirit, but I can't forget your gentle, steady warmth. Don't worry, I'll try to love only you. I burst into loud, unrestrained laughter. You still have no sincerity when you say you cherish me. Is it me you cherish, or my ability to handle everything for you? Without me, your struggle against the fourth prince must be tough. This naked mockery made Zhu Yanji's face burn with shame, but he refused to admit it, crazily pulling me into his arms. Mingjiao, how can I make you believe me? Do you want me to swear before our ancestors that I'll never see Mingshu again? I said bluntly. Give up the throne, and I'll marry you. Silence fell. I pushed Zhu Yanji away. Go back, your highness. From now on, don't come looking for me. Zhu Yanji still wouldn't give up. Following me step by step, I stopped. Otherwise, for peace of mind, I'll have to help your fourth brother. 19. Zhu Yanji left. Dejected, he knew he couldn't convince me, so he let the news that I was still alive spread. Mother traveled thousands of miles to Jiangnan at that moment. I was busy in the kitchen, working up a sweat. Miss, what's on the menu today? I looked up. The spatula paused for a moment, and a faint burnt smell rose from the pot. A diner, hungry, tapped his bowl. Where did this lady come from? Don't block Miss Ming from cooking. A half-minute delay will starve us to death. My expression twisted, and I even thought of dropping the spatula and running, but instead, Mother rolled up her sleeves, walked over, and wiped the sweat from my forehead. That evening I took Mother back to my home last month. The courtyard was renovated, and Jiyu Yang lost it to me in a game of old maid. The yard wasn't big, but it was clean and tidy. The most eye-catching thing was a swing. My little sister had one too. Now I had one as well. I loved lying on it, reading. I won the swing in Old Maid too. I showed Mother around the yard, introducing everything. This is the front hall. The bookshelf was designed by me and built by someone else. This is for making ice cream. This is... Mother picked up a booklet from my table. She opened it. It was a menu. The drawings were mine, and the notes beside them were in my handwriting. Mother's eyes dimmed. She flipped through page by page. When she looked up again, her eyes were full of tears. I've never seen you use this layout before. I've never tasted these dishes. Mingjiao, are you happy here? After Zhu Yanji left, I had thought a lot. If Mother came looking for me, I'd probably get a beating and be tied up and sent back to the capital. Happy, those two words, coming from Mother's mouth, asking me. This scene was something I never expected. So when Mother cried in front of me, I even forgot to wipe away her tears. Mother stayed at my home for half a month. She worked as my assistant for half a month. She also saw Jiyu Yang, who always came to the shop in the evening to wash the pots and close up after I collapsed from exhaustion. When she left, she stared at the scars on my palms. Does it still hurt? I shook my head. I don't remember. The rain in Jiangnan began to fall again, wetting Mother's eyes. Zhu Yanji deliberately revealed your whereabouts to me, he thought. Knowing my nature, I would tie you up and bring you back. I lowered my head. I thought so too. Sorrow seeped into Mother's eyes. If I did that, would you die a second time? The long silent string in my heart was plucked once more. I looked at Mother anew. Her temples were streaked with grey, as if she had aged 10 years. Dark circles under her eyes. She must not have slept a single good night. I couldn't help but wonder, after I died in my past life, was she like this too? Mother pressed the scar cream into my hand. Come back with me. Okay, I didn't take it. I can't go back. Mother slumped, like a withered tree stripped of life. Do you truly hate me that much? I had no choice. I shook my head. Once, I did resent you, but later, I had my own little courtyard to arrange as I pleased. A swing to lie on whenever I wanted. The shop was busy, but every customer genuinely praised my cooking. Over time, I stopped resenting you, Mother. Back then, we all had our hardships. I've already repaid you with my life. The Shun family's glory has been restored. At least be fair to me now. If you care for me even a little, from now on, just think of me as dead. I turned and left without looking back. I had only taken a few steps. Mother's sobs pierced my ears. Mingjiao. Mother was wrong. Only after losing me did she realize that family honor, that damned future, they were all jokes. Without me, she was left with a gilded shell, empty and useless. I paused for a moment, then vanished into the rain too. When I got home, I ran into Jiyu Yang helping me bring in the salted fish. I glanced at the table. There was an imperial summons, ordering him back to the capital. I pretended not to see it. Jiyu Yang said flatly, "From now on, you'll have to support me." I was confused. He said it with utter confidence. "I've resigned from my post, so naturally, you'll take care of me." No sooner had he spoken than thunder crackled in the sky. A pair of hands naturally covered my ears. I looked up, meeting his clear eyes. Why what? Why resign? Going back was clearly your best option." Jiyu Yang looked away, his ears reddening. "To me, you were never an option." The rain poured down. The still lake in my heart, dormant for years, began to ripple. "Jiyu Yang, let's play old maid. If you win, I'll support you." The palm pressed against my ear was warm. Okay, he won easily. Of course. 21 Clearwater Town lost a young constable. Minglu gained a new waiter, but this waiter was incredibly diligent. Aside from letting Mingjiao handle the cooking, he took care of everything else, chopping vegetables, washing dishes, wiping tables, sweeping floors. The customers all praised him. What a hardworking, good lad. Other restaurants tried to poach him. "How much does she pay you?" "I'll double it." Jiyu Yang scowled and told them to get lost. Someone muttered quietly, "Look at this guy. He's not here for the money, he's clearly here to find a wife." In the second year of Jiyu Yang slaving away for me, my restaurant grew bigger and bigger. I stood at the door with my arms crossed, watching him work diligently. "Hey." Jiyu Yang turned back, sweat dripping down his jaw. I said, "Interested in being the boss lady?" 22 In the second year of our marriage, I suddenly lost interest in the restaurant. In the middle of the night, I sat up abruptly. "Jiyu Yang, I want to see the desert." Jiyu Yang opened his eyes and stared at me for a long time. Then he got up. I asked, "Hey, what are you doing?" He turned back, packing. My impulsive whim was quickly put into action. Before we left, I asked him, "The restaurant's doing so well, won't you miss it?" Jiyu Yang popped a peeled lychee into my mouth. "I only know that if I don't go with you, you'll leave me behind." The sweet juice burst in my mouth. I pulled open the carriage curtain and fanned my face. Such hot weather. The money from the restaurant was enough for Jiyu Yang and me to splurge. When we got married, I found out Jiyu Yang had secretly saved up a fortune. I grabbed him by the collar, furious. "You're so rich, and you still made me slave away to fix your courtyard." I thought he'd play dumb, but he said seriously, "If I hadn't tricked you, how would you have found the will to live?" I suddenly understood. When I first arrived in Jiangnan, I was still living with a sense of despair until Jiyu Yang started shamelessly pushing me. As soon as I got busy, all thoughts of life, death, and past lives vanished without a trace. My mind was filled with endless dishes to cook, an endless courtyard to repair, and silver that slipped through my fingers the moment I earned it. 23 For the next 10 years, Jiyu Yang and I traveled across the land. We saw the lone eagle of the desert, ventured into the frozen northern frontier, and tasted the 100-insect wine of the southern borderlands. During that time, I once saw Zhu Yanji. Even with the memories of his past life, he still lost. When I saw him, he had become a banished criminal, mining ores under the scorching sun. The carrying pole in Zhu Yanji's hands fell. He broke into a run, striding toward me, but his shackles were too short. He stumbled and fell after just a few steps. The commotion was loud, drawing the guards' attention. The man raised his whip and lashed him a few times. I had been playing for 10 years, and Jiyu Yang had been going mad alongside me for 10. Then, one day, Jiyu Yang had just finished discussing the sea voyage with the boatman. I suddenly grabbed the corner of his robe. "When we come back from the sea, let's have a child." Jiyu Yang was silent. His Adam's apple bobbed. "All right." We had 3 children. Jiyu Yang bore all the hardships of raising them, teaching their lessons, training them in martial arts. even getting up in the middle of the night to soothe the crying infants. Watching each child grow up and leave home, I let out a sigh. Yu Yang silently pulled out his little notebook. Tell me, this time do you want to open another shop, or travel the mountains and rivers? I propped my chin up and looked at him. Today is my birthday. Yu Yang smoothly brought out a pot of exotic flowers. I sighed. I want something else. He pulled out the little notebook again. Go on, I smiled, my eyes full of mischief. Can you tell me again the story of how you fell in love with me at first sight? It was a summer so hot it could dry a man out. A locust plague had starved most of Yu Yang's family to death while fleeing to another place. Only he was left alive. He was so dizzy with hunger that he ran into a beautiful benefactor, the noblewoman. Gave him alms on a whim, and by chance, that kept Yu Yang alive until the government distributed grain. He mingled among the refugees. He heard people say she was a young lady from the capital. Later, he went to the capital. He clawed his way up, step by step, until he entered the Imperial Guard. He thought, if fate allowed, he would repay that young lady's kindness of a single meal in this lifetime. In his 6th year as an official, he finally saw her again. She was the eldest daughter of the Shun family at the Dragon Tour Festival. He saved her, then turned and walked away. He knew the eldest daughter of the Shun family was destined to be the crown princess, and those filthy, secret thoughts of his had to stay buried in the shadows. When they met again, she was covered in wounds. The will to live in her eyes so faint it could be snuffed out at any moment. A single tear fell from her eye. She begged him to help her, and so Yu Yang didn't hesitate for a second. He abandoned his future and took her away from the capital. The moon he had gazed up at day and night was now right before his eyes. Yu Yang swore he would spend his life making her happy, and he kept that promise even in death. He couldn't bear to leave before her, couldn't bear to make her shed a single tear. Shun Mingjiao lived to be 75. The moment Shun Mingjiao closed her eyes, Yu Yang refused to wait even a second. He followed her. That's the end of the first story. Don't go away, the next one is even more exciting. I was the second daughter in the family. Above me was my breathtakingly beautiful elder sister. Below me my lively and clever little sister. I had always been the most inconspicuous one. No one ever expected that I would be the one chosen by the crown prince to be his crown princess. The crown prince was good. He was good to me, but he was good to everyone, so much so that when he was on his deathbed, I couldn't bear to let go. With red-rimmed eyes, I leaned over the bed and recounted the warmth of our years together. But he turned his head with difficulty and whispered softly, if it weren't for the kindness you showed me in my youth, your elder sister would have been my wife. Only then did I remember that year when the princes were choosing their brides. I had been publicly rejected by the 7th prince, and it was he who stepped in to save me. So this long life of mine, I had never truly possessed anything from beginning to end, so much so that this time, when everyone was waiting to see which prince I would choose, I shook my head. Yaro Yaro already has someone in her heart, so I won't be participating. Too, my mother's face instantly darkened, her brows furrowed with anger. I knew exactly what she was thinking. Today was supposed to be a flower viewing banquet, but everyone present understood clearly. The Empress intended to select principal consorts for the princes here. The Empress always did as she pleased, breaking tradition by letting the noble ladies choose their preferred person first, rather than having the princes decide, was probably tied to her own experiences entering the palace in her early years. And my mother, letting me choose first today, it wasn't out of love for me. It was because she had a firm grasp on my lifelong habit of yielding and obeying. She was certain I was too timid and cowardly to dare pick a top-tier prince, that I would only choose some idle, powerless man. She could both gain a reputation for treating her younger daughter kindly and smoothly, leave the most honorable position of crown princess for her illustrious elder sister. After all, that was how it was in her past life. Indeed, in my past life, I followed her wishes and chose the idle 7th prince, but he gently declined. Just as I was waiting to be mocked by everyone, the crown prince stepped forward to save me. I unexpectedly became the crown princess, gaining everything I had never dared to hope for: children at my knees, a gentle husband, a lifetime of peace and stability. By all logic, having lived again, I should have chosen him once more. But this time, I don't want to. Perhaps because I publicly declined the honor of selecting a prince as my husband, everyone's eyes turned to me. The Empress on her high throne was not angered, but instead let out a soft laugh. Her gaze fell on me, carrying a hint of rare appreciation. Interesting. While others scramble for favorable matches, the second Miss Jiang dares to speak her heart, not following the crowd that takes rare courage. The eyes of the princes in the hall all fell on me. Appraising, the crown prince was among them. He gazed at me quietly, his eyes deep, unreadable in emotion, but only for a brief moment. Then he indifferently withdrew his gaze, turning it tenderly to his graceful and gentle elder sister beside him, just as countless times in the past life. Full of tenderness, I suppressed the bitterness surging in my heart, lowering my eyes respectfully. The Empress's favor is too great for me to bear, but I truly have someone in my heart. As the words fell, my elder sister's face darkened a few shades. She immediately stepped forward half a pace, feigning urgency as she scolded, "Second sister, stop this nonsense. You've been secluded in your chambers all year, never stepping out. How could you have someone in your heart, speaking recklessly in public? Are you trying to ruin your own reputation?" She was always like this, feigning concern, but her words were full of belittlement and mockery, waiting only to see me humiliated in public, then stepping in as the virtuous elder sister to mediate. The Empress waved her hand, her face kind. "No matter, I haven't seen such a free-spoken young girl in years." I suppose so, in all of Daliang. Perhaps only the Empress had such courage. Now there was me, making it a rarity after all. Everyone knew that the Empress herself had once defied everyone's wishes, rejected 1,000 splendid paths, and stubbornly chose the late Emperor, whom no one favored at the time. My temperament was just like hers back then. Since the second Miss Jiang has someone in her heart, feel free to speak. After all, it's a joyous occasion, and I will make the decision for you today. At these words, everyone grew curious about who the person in my heart was. To turn down a prince's match was truly something to anticipate. My fingertips clenched the silk handkerchief tightly, knuckles turning white. I clearly saw the suppressed smile at the corner of my elder sister's lips. She was waiting for me to lose my footing and become a laughingstock. I knew even more clearly that if I faltered today, it would be treason. My mother beside me was already pale with anger, glaring at me as if she would scold me on the spot, but she couldn't, and she dared not. Suppressing the bitterness in my heart, I slowly raised my eyes, carefully scanning the hall of nobles. Finally, my gaze locked steadily on the side of the crown prince, the man everyone considered the solitary recluse, secretly labeled a sodomite by the court, the crown prince's ninth uncle, Prince Ning. I raised my hand and pointed firmly at him. "I have set my heart on Prince Ning." 3. As I expected, waves of surprised glances fell on me and Prince Ning, murmurs suppressed in throats, not daring to speak loudly. The Empress raised an eyebrow. "Second Miss Jiang, are you truly certain of your heart?" I glanced at Prince Ning. He leaned lazily in his seat, clad in a dark brocade robe, lifting his eyes to look at me with casual indifference. There was no anger in his gaze, only a faint hint of amusement. Everyone in the capital knew that any woman sent by imperial decree to marry into Prince Ning's manor never survived the second day. The manor only ever housed male attendants, and rumors pinned the label of sodomite on him. He never bothered to defend himself, letting the gossip spread. Others avoided him like a plague, and no noblewoman dared to seek this marriage. But I had no way out. Choosing a prince meant either repeating the mistake of my past life, marrying the crown prince and wasting my life, or facing the humiliation of being publicly rejected. Only Prince Ning remained. Half a month ago, I had happened to save him, gravely wounded and in hiding. While I was out back then, he had personally promised to grant me one wish. Now, I was betting on his word being as good as gold. I clutched the silk handkerchief in my hand, nodded steadily, and spoke with a clear voice. "I have made up my mind. Prince Ning and I love each other, and in this life, I will marry no one but him." The crown prince sat in his place, his previously relaxed expression suddenly darkening a few shades. His fingertips curled slightly, but restrained by the court's rules, he did not speak. Beside me, my mother and eldest sister's faces were pale as they hurriedly tried to stop me. "Second sister, don't speak nonsense. Such jokes are absolutely out of the question." I paid them no heed, still keeping my head bowed as I waited for the Empress's reply and for Prince Ning's answer as well. Clearly, the Empress found it amusing. Completely ignoring the warnings, she turned to look at Prince Ning with a smile. "Ninth brother, This young lady has openly confessed her feelings for you in front of everyone. What do you think of this matter?" My heart tightened, and I silently prayed in my heart that he would remember the promise he had made. Perhaps seeing the anxiety and plea hidden in my eyes, Jiu Yenji's previously lazy and carefree demeanor completely vanished. He slowly rose, strode over to stand before me. His deep, magnetic voice rang clearly through the noisy hall. "Your Majesty, it is indeed true. Your subject came to this banquet today specifically for this purpose. I humbly beg your Majesty to grant your grace to bestow upon me and second Miss Jiang this marriage, fulfilling your subject's long-cherished wish." For the moment I stepped back through the gates of the Jiang residence, the pounding in my chest still refused to settle. When I had taken my leave from the palace earlier, Prince Ning's gaze, like the cold mist of a deep pond, clung to me, impossible to shake off. His low, cold voice echoed in my ears again and again. That casual yet meaningful sentence was crystal clear, tightening the strings of my heart. He said, "Second Miss Jiang's courage is indeed extraordinary." Just that one sentence, nothing more. Shaking my head, I suppressed the turmoil within me and walked straight back to my own courtyard, leaving aside everything else. Today's events had completely severed any chance of me entering the palace as the crown princess. My eldest sister had also been successfully chosen as the crown princess. I would become her and the crown prince's aunt by marriage. Thinking about it, it was somewhat laughable, suppressed by my eldest sister my entire life. Yet in the end, my seniority in the family hierarchy was far greater than hers. When she saw me, she would have to bow at that thought. A strange sense of satisfaction welled up inside me, but the road ahead was shrouded in mist. I couldn't see what the future held, yet there was one thing I was certain of. The world said Jiu Yenji was cruel and ruthless, decisive in killing, and vicious in his methods. Everyone feared and dreaded him, but I knew that the world had misjudged him. I had seen a Jiu Yenji that no one else had ever seen that year. It was my second year as the crown princess. Crown Prince Pei Jinglan fell gravely ill. I heard that the peace talismans from Qingshan Temple were extremely effective, so I went alone to pray for one. On the way back, it began to snow heavily, and the streets were covered in mud. I saw him, without a trace of disgust, carrying a little beggar covered in filth on his back. Step by step through the slippery, muddy road. He had guards beside him, but he didn't hand the task over to them. He personally draped his own cloak over the little beggar, walking each step with earnest care. How could someone with such hidden kindness and gentleness in his heart be truly evil? After that, Pei Jinglan ascended the throne, and he voluntarily requested to leave the capital. I never saw him again, and the peace talisman I had worked so hard to obtain never made it into Pei Jinglan's hands. It was lost on that very street. Just as I was lost in thought, the tightly shut door was suddenly pushed open, and a piercing anger, mixed with the night wind, rushed in. Before I could lift my head, a searing, sharp pain landed unexpectedly on my cheek. The crisp sound of a slap exploded in the silent room, making my eardrums ring. I felt the entire side of my face go numb and burning hot. My mother's eyes were bloodshot, her chest heaving violently. "Do you have any idea what shameless, disgraceful thing you did outside today? I originally thought to be fair to you, to give you the courtesy of letting you choose your marriage first. I never expected you to be so ungrateful. You have truly disappointed me." The warm pain spread across my cheek, but I didn't feel the slightest bit wronged. Slowly raising my eyes, I looked at the hypocritical family before me and suddenly let out a low laugh. "Mother, are you doing this for my own good? But if I had chosen first today, and by accident snatched away the man my sister has her heart set on, taking away the crown princess title and the glory and status within her grasp, would you have blessed me then?" My mother's whole body stiffened, her furious scolding suddenly caught in her throat. Seeing her speechless expression, the last faint glimmer of hope in my heart completely dissipated. Indeed, after 2 lifetimes as her daughter, I still couldn't earn a shred of her favor. "You see," I said in a flat tone, "you have never truly considered me, not even a little. Since you never genuinely loved or cared for me, why bother putting on this facade of fairness and kindness, acting out this hypocritical play?" One sentence pierced through her disguise. My mother, flushed with shame and anger, raised her hand to slap me again. "How dare you? How can you be so unfilial and insolent, speaking to me like this?" I slightly turned my head to avoid it, no trace of the former respect or docility left in my eyes. The sister outside heard the commotion and hurried in. As soon as she entered, she immediately steadied our furious mother, furrowing her brows as she looked at me. "Second sister, how could you do this? Mother has worked so hard to raise us. All her efforts are for your own good. How dare you talk back like this, so unfilial? Are you trying to break her heart?" I lifted my eyes to look at this always gentle and kind eldest sister, who somehow managed to outshine me in every way. A mocking curl tugged at the corner of my lips. Then what should I do? I stepped forward, stopping in front of her, letting out a light laugh. Should I follow mother's every wish, obediently step aside, or should I constantly serve as a foil for your virtuous and gentle image, spend my whole life as your backdrop, letting you both manipulate and control me? Only then would I be considered well-behaved, filial, and proper. My sister's face instantly turned pale, her delicate features tinged with embarrassment and anger. No longer able to maintain her usual gentle and harmless facade, both of their faces were ashen, and the atmosphere in the room grew suffocatingly stagnant. Glancing at the two of them, I reached out and opened the door. "I'm truly sorry. Today's events must have disappointed you." I paused, my voice flat. "Of course, not just today. This kind of disappointment will only come more often from now on." 5. Just as I expected, just like before, I was taken to the dark little room in the backyard. The cold wooden door slammed shut heavily, the sound of the lock clicking dull and grating. Exactly like the countless times I remembered, the rules of the Jiang family had always been like this. Obedience meant being well behaved, the slightest defiance, the smallest refusal to live according to their wishes, and I would be locked in here to starve and freeze. Only when I bowed my head and admitted my mistake would I see the light of day again. In the past, I could never hold out. I was afraid of the dark, afraid of hunger, afraid of this endless loneliness, and even more afraid of my mother's completely cold attitude. So every time, I obediently bowed my head and admitted my fault, even when I had done nothing wrong. But this time, I quietly sat down against the mottled, cold wall, my eyes clear and calm. No trace of fear or regret. I was not wrong. I simply refused to be my elder sister's stepping stone anymore. Refused to be manipulated by my mother's favoritism. What fault was there in that? Besides, I knew I wouldn't be locked up for long this time. My engagement to Jiyu Yenji was already settled. Even if his temperament was cold and distant, even if he was aloof and unapproachable, he was still a royal prince of the imperial family. The Jiang family wouldn't dare to truly mistreat the future princess of Ning, and Jiyu Yenji would never allow his betrothed to be humiliated and tormented by her own family like this. Even if he had no interest in this marriage in his heart, he would still follow proper etiquette and come to marry me on schedule. It was just a few days of cold and hardship. I could endure it. Just as I was gathering my thoughts, I heard the careful sound of a lock being turned. The wooden door was pushed open a crack, and cold wind slipped in, carrying fragments of pale daylight. My youngest sister, Jiang Yuan, poked her flushed little face in, her nose red from the cold, her hair bun slightly messy. She must have been hiding in the winter courtyard for a long time. Her lively, almond-shaped eyes quickly scanned the dark room. Seeing me sitting safely, she immediately breathed a sigh of relief. She tiptoed in quickly, turning back to shut the door silently, blocking out the cold wind. "Second sister," she lowered her voice, and without a word, shoved the piping hot white steamed bun she had been hiding against her chest into my hand. The warmth of her palm seeped through the thin dough, warming my heart. "Hurry and eat. It's freshly steamed." I snuck it from the kitchen, still hot. Then, she pulled out a small bundle of soft osmanthus cake from her sleeve, along with a piece of warm malt candy, and pressed them all into my palm. "Mother and eldest sister went to the temple on the outskirts of the city early this morning to pray for blessings. No one in the mansion is watching." I snuck over. "Eat something to fill your stomach. Don't starve." I looked down at the warm food in my palm, and the heart that had been frozen by my own blood relatives suddenly loosened a little. Jiang Yuan was 2 years younger than me. She was spoiled and lively, raised to be willful and unrestrained since childhood. Among everyone in the Jiang family, she was the only one who still had some genuine feelings for me. When we were young, whenever there were rare snacks or sweets in the house, she always thought to share half with me. But after too many times, Mother would always catch us. Mother never scolded her, The legitimate youngest daughter, all the blame would fall on me every time. I was the one punished, accused of bewitching my sister and not knowing my place. Over time, she stopped daring to bring me things openly. She was young, but she understood that her kindness would only make me suffer more. In our past life, we two sisters were the closest, but later, after that marriage selection, she never got close to me again. I didn't know that the unremarkable, idle prince I had casually chosen was the one she had secretly treasured in her heart for years. If I had known back then, I would never have chosen the seventh prince, I had tried to explain, but my eldest sister was a master at sowing discord every day. She whispered poison in Ioanna's ear, saying I knew her feelings, yet deliberately stepped in, scheming to steal her good match. Selfish and vicious, a lie told 100 times becomes the truth. A young girl's heart is naturally sensitive and stubborn. Under the constant drip of her instigation, she eventually built a thick wall of estrangement and resentment against me. Later, whenever I took the initiative to speak with her, to explain the reasons, she would coldly avert her eyes, refusing to spare me another glance. Thinking back to the estrangement between us sisters in my past life, my fingers tightened slightly around the food I held, a mix of emotions churning in my heart. Ioanna, thank you. What's there to thank me for? She pouted, then glanced worriedly at the pitch-black room. Second sister, don't tough it out. When mother comes back later, just give in. It's better than starving and freezing here. Besides, you're about to get married, you won't have to suffer here anymore. So, she had seen it all. She knew I was wronged in the Jiang residence. I gently shook my head. There's something I need your help with. Jiang. Yuan immediately straightened her back, patting her chest and whispering, second sister, just say it. If I can do it, I will. I pulled out the letter I had written late into the night from my bosom, the paper still warm from being pressed against me. Run an errand for me to the Prince Ning's mansion. Hand this letter personally to Prince Ning. Jiu Yenji. Though bold, she knew well how terrifying the Prince of Ning could be. She paused for a moment, stared at me for a long time, then finally gritted her teeth and tucked the letter away. All right, second sister, I trust you. I'll sneak out of the mansion right now and make sure it gets to him. But fate is fickle, never bowing to human schemes. Just as Ioanna had stowed the letter and was about to step out of the dark room, a servant's urgent announcement came from outside. Second miss, His Highness the Crown Prince has arrived at the Jiang residence and demands to see you. 6. Yesterday, Jiang Wn was officially named the Crown Princess. When the Crown Prince came calling, everyone naturally assumed he was here to visit the newly appointed Crown Princess, to reassure the Jiang family. But the gatekeeper's words were crystal clear. He wasn't looking for Jiang Wn. He had come specifically for me. Footsteps outside slowly drew closer. I rose to my feet, the warm pastries in my palm gradually turning cold. Seeing this, Ioanna quickly hid behind me. Second sister, should I still deliver the letter? I shook my head, and Ioanna seized the chance to slip away. She didn't look back at me. I knew she was afraid mother would find out she had secretly brought me food, and that I would still be punished. The door was respectfully pushed open by a servant, and Pei Jinglan stood at the threshold. His moon-white brocade robe made his figure appear as gentle as jade, his brows and eyes still bearing that world-renowned elegance and warmth. But when his gaze fell into the room and he saw me sitting alone on the cold floor, disheveled and pitiful, he frowned slightly. Perhaps he had never imagined that the second young lady of the Jiang family, a noblewoman soon to be wed to the Prince of Ning, would be locked up in such a damp, filthy dark room in her own home. The cold wind carried the faint scent of his ambergris incense inside, breaking the dead silence of the room. After a moment, he withdrew his stunned gaze, his voice still soft as it gently landed in my ears. I'm sorry, I didn't know you were treated like this in the Jiang residence. His thin lips pressed together, and he stepped slowly into the room, blocking the gazes of the servants behind him. Walking closer to me step by step, he stopped in front of me, his eyes heavy and fixed on mine. Yao Yao, I know, you've come back too. That's why, at the selection that day, you resolutely turned down all prospects and insisted on securing the marriage to the Prince of Ning. His tone carried a hint of helplessness, and a trace of concern. If you didn't want to enter the palace, if you didn't want to marry anyone, you could have told me earlier. I would have protected you, arranged everything for you, and never let you suffer the slightest grievance. but you shouldn't have chosen Gu Yenji. Every word was earnest. Every sentence seemed to be for my own good. True enough, that was just how he was, in our past life. Even though he didn't love me, he still gave me supreme honor and care back then. I was truly happy. I even felt incredibly lucky to have met him, to have married him, but that kindness wasn't exclusive to me, it extended to others as well, even to a bird, a cat. He would show the same compassion, so I was never special. I pressed my lips together and looked up at him directly. Your Highness, in what capacity do you intend to help me? Pei Jinglan's eyes flickered, as if he wanted to speak but held back. I didn't wait for his reply, my expression void of joy or sorrow. If it's as my future brother-in-law, Your Highness should first marry my eldest sister. If it's as my former husband. A faint, subtle curve lifted the corner of my lips. Your Highness has even less right. The bond between us in that life is severed. We have nothing to do with each other anymore. If Your Highness pities me as the crown prince, as the heir apparent to the throne, I looked up into his deep eyes, my gaze open yet distant, then this is a matter of my personal affairs. Even if Your Highness holds the highest status and wields power over the court, you have no right to meddle in my marriage or the rest of my life. Every single one of my words lodged his intended speech in his throat. He stared at me fixedly, unable to utter a sound for a long time. After an endless silence, his Adam's apple moved slightly, and all his nobility faded away. His voice carried a faint, barely perceptible hoarseness and caution. So, you still blame me, blame him. I lowered my gaze, looking at my cool fingertips. The love and hatred of my past life surged through me, eventually dissolving into nothing but smoke. After a long pause, I gently shook my head. It's not quite blame, it's just, I can't help but blame you. I looked up, my eyes calm as I met his. The best, most peaceful days of my life, when I was cherished and held in someone's hands, were given to me by Your Highness, but the life where I was trapped in the obsession of love, wasting half my years and dying with regrets, was also given to me by Your Highness. Your Highness bestowed upon me glory and warmth, and also cast me into an abyss. Favors and grievances cancel out, love and hatred tangled. It's impossible to tell who was right or wrong. Pei Jinglan's face turned pale, his fingers tightening slightly as if he wanted to see through me, to salvage something. I no longer looked into the emotions in his eyes, shifting my gaze away. So, Your Highness, now that you've gotten what you wanted, everything is perfect. From now on, you dwell in your nine-tiered palace, and I walk my ordinary path. In this life, love and hatred both end, and we shall never meet again. 7. Pei Jinglan left. In truth, I knew I had no reason to blame him, but the human heart is inherently selfish. I couldn't help but want to resent him, to hate him, to soothe all the grievances and regrets of half my life. In the dozen years I spent in the Jiang family, not a single day went smoothly. I once thought my life would be trapped in that cold, oppressive Jiang mansion, mediocre and unnoticed, passing by in a blur. It was Pei Jinglan. It was he who reached out and pulled me from that quagmire. And it was he who gave me the dignity and stability I never dared to even dream of. This debt of gratitude I will remember for the rest of my life, never daring to forget. In the end, he was not wrong, and neither was I. It was just that one insignificant act of kindness in our youth, by a twist of fate, bound us for a lifetime, leading to lifelong regret. He married me back then to repay an old favor. I mistook his gentle kindness for genuine affection and preference. My sincere heart was misplaced. And in the end, I wronged him and trapped myself. Now, this is another kind of completeness. That very night, news that the crown prince had sought me out spread throughout the Jiang family. My mother summoned me to the main hall in the dead of night, her face icy cold. What exactly did you say to the crown prince? You know he is your elder sister's husband, yet you dared to meet him alone in private. What will people say if this gets out? It was always like this in the Jiang family. No matter what happened, I was always the one at fault. Today, it was Pei Jinglan who came to me of his own accord. I stayed obediently in my room without overstepping a single boundary, yet in my mother's eyes, it was still my sin. The crown prince came to me on his own. He only asked a few questions about elder sister's preferences. It wasn't me trying to ingratiate myself, but my mother raised her voice sharply, her eyes full of irrationality. He is the crown prince. Does he need to ask you if he wants to know about Wanus matters? I looked at her, blind to right and wrong, and felt nothing but bitter irony in my heart. Mother need not worry, I will be married soon. Besides, I have no feelings for the crown prince. Instead of focusing your criticism on me, you do better to teach elder sister how to keep her husband's heart. At my words, my elder sister, who had been sitting quietly nearby, turned pale with anger. I knew that even if my elder sister did nothing, Pei Jinglan's favor and tenderness were always reserved for her, but I had been stifled for so many years, and I deserved to vent for myself even if it was just a few words. If they could discuss them for a moment, it was worth it. I couldn't be bothered to look at the ugly expressions on everyone's faces. I turned and left. Ignoring my mother's curses and my elder sister's fury behind me, time flew by, and soon it was the day of my wedding, perhaps because the Empress declared it an auspicious day. My wedding to Prince Ning was set on the same day as the Crown Prince's. The entire city was draped in red, a 10-mile stretch of festive celebration, 2 bridal sedan chairs, one heading south, one north, moving in opposite directions. On this day in my past life, I went joyfully toward the Eastern Palace. Now, the sedan chair turned and headed toward the Prince Ning's residence. It was a complete severance from the past, actually. It was fine 8 in the blink of an eye. I had been married to Jiyu Yenji for 7 days, and every day had been wonderful before the marriage. I was perpetually uneasy, thinking that marrying the Prince of Ning would hardly make life any better. After all, this betrothal was something I had forced. I had even already decided, from now on, whoever he favored, whoever he loved, I would never ask, never care if he disliked this marriage. I could sign a separation agreement at any time, even willingly leave the household. What I sought was never his affection, but merely to use the Prince of Ning's name to completely escape the Jiang family that had trapped me for half my life. But I never expected that Jiyu Yenji would never mistreat me in the slightest. The Prince of Ning's residence had always been quiet, with only men in the household. My food, clothing, and daily necessities were all of the highest standard, never lacking a single thing. The old nanny who served me told me in private that Jiyu Yenji had always been pure and upright in character. In the past, there had been restless maids in the residence who tried to cling to him, deliberately scheming to get close, but he punished them severely, and since then, no woman had ever gotten near him because of this. The vast Prince of Ning's residence, aside from the old nanny, had no other female attendants. I had grown up neglected in the Jiang family, and my mother had never assigned me a personal maid. On the day I married into the residence, I was also alone, with no one accompanying me. But on the second day of our marriage, a small, obedient-looking girl appeared at the entrance of my courtyard, named Bai Dao. Bai Dao said that Jiyu Yenji had specially assigned her to serve me personally. I was a bit surprised, never expecting him to care about such a trivial detail at first. I only thought of Bai Dao as an ordinary maid for daily chores. It wasn't until that day when my mother stormed into the Prince of Ning's residence, cursing me openly and loudly, that I realized Bai Dao was no ordinary girl. She dislocated my mother's jaw with a clean, swift motion. Clearly skilled in martial arts, my mother cried and wailed, knowing she couldn't gain the upper hand, and fled afterward. Bai Dao stuck out her tongue and said to me, "Your Highness, our prince said that anyone who dares to slander you doesn't need to be reported, just punish them directly." To be honest, I was shocked. It was also after that day that I realized everyone in the residence actually liked me. They weren't like the people in the Jiang family, who only looked down on those beneath them. They called me Your Highness every time we met, without a hint of disrespect. The nanny would also tailor many beautiful clothes for me, letting me pick one by one, and the finest delicacies would be sent to my room. Your Highness, the prince said that what others have, our princess must also have. That day, my eyes reddened. It was the first time I truly felt respected. Respected for no reason at all. In the past, Pei Jinglan had treated me well, but that was because of gratitude. As for Jiyu Yenji, I had no connection with him. That life-saving favor, he had already repaid by marrying me, but he didn't cold-shoulder me. He had just been busy lately, sent to Jiangnan by the emperor, and wouldn't be back for 3 more days. We still hadn't consummated the marriage, and I didn't know if he was truly a eunuch, or how I should thank him when he returned. Oh well, I'll wait until he comes back to figure it out. But after that, the Jiang family never dared to come to the residence to bully me again. Later, I gradually heard news from outside the palace. On the day of our wedding, the crown prince married my elder sister into the Eastern Palace, showing her great favor in public, but no one knew that the Eastern Palace was never free of arguments. My elder sister held a grudge all day, constantly quarreling with the crown prince, and the reason was a portrait hidden deep in the crown prince's study that no one dared to touch. The person in that portrait had delicate features. It was me 9. I only learned about that portrait in the Eastern Palace many years later from my elder sister. At that moment, my mind was entirely on Jiyu Yenji, who had been gone for 3 days. Today was the day of his return. The entire residence had been tidied up early, the courtyard swept spotless. I sat under the eaves, gently rubbing the warm teacup with my fingertips, my heart uncertain whether it was anxiety or anticipation. Before long, the sound of horse hooves came from outside the residence. Bai Dao immediately exclaimed joyfully, "Your Highness, the prince is back." I instinctively looked up. Jiyu Yenji dismounted from his horse, his solemn prince's robe making his figure appear even more upright. I was about to stand up to greet him when I noticed a very presumptuous woman beside him. The woman wore a pink silk dress, her features lively and charming. Clinging closely to Jiyu Yenji's side, her demeanor was intimate and natural. Looking exceptionally close, my heart tightened inexplicably, and I instinctively suppressed all emotions in my eyes so the rumors outside weren't baseless. I used to think he didn't like women, or that he was indifferent to love, even secretly speculating if he was truly, as the rumors said, uninterested in romantic affairs. Now it seemed he wasn't cold, it was just that he might already have someone in his heart. That was true. This marriage was something I had half forced, half begged for, using past favors in exchange from beginning to end. He was never truly willing. These 7 days of gentle kindness were merely his gentlemanly nature, born of duty and compensation. I had long prepared myself to let go at any moment, to retreat unscathed. Thinking this, I too fell silent. Jiyu Yenji walked over, raising his hand to remove the exquisite purple sandalwood brocade box from his waist. He strode toward me, ignoring the girl at his side, and directly handed the brocade box to me. His voice was low and clear, "For you." Before I could even freeze in shock, the woman beside him immediately stepped forward, reaching out to snatch it. "This is pretty. I want it too." The moment her fingertips were about to touch the brocade box, Jiyu Yenji slapped her hand away. The force wasn't heavy, but his attitude was exceptionally firm, without a trace of indulgence. "No." 2 words, cold and crisp, leaving no room for negotiation. Watching this, I quickly raised my hand to press down on the brocade box. "It's fine. If this young lady likes it, then give it to her. I don't mind. It was never a favoritism meant for me anyway. No need to force it. Besides, I already owed him a marriage he never willingly entered. Now that his true love has returned, stepping back and yielding is only right." But as soon as the words left my mouth, Jiyu Yenji suddenly leaned in close, his narrow eyes narrowed slightly, carrying a faint chill. "Jiang Yao, are you so weak? When faced with things, you only know how to yield, never how to fight for even a shred." I was stunned by his question, my throat suddenly losing all words, unsure how to answer. Yes, day after day of yielding, I had gradually lost the joy in my heart. The woman beside him widened her eyes, her face full of confusion. "Imperial Aunt, your temperament really won't do. How can you just give away something you like to someone else? Would you, if someone else coveted my imperial uncle in the future, simply hand him over without a word?" "Imperial Aunt." This address left me frozen in place. I looked blankly at the woman before me. Bai Dao quickly stepped forward to explain in a low voice, "Your Highness, this is Princess Zhaoyang. She grew up in Jiangnan and rarely returns to the capital. She happened to be returning with the prince on his journey back, just tagging along to see the sights. She is the prince's own niece." So that's it. I had overthought things. My cheeks instantly flushed, hot with embarrassment and shame. Just as I was about to explain the misunderstanding, my wrist was suddenly tightened. Jiyu Yenji, without explanation, directly grabbed my wrist. His grip was gentle yet unyielding, and he turned to pull me into the room. The door clicked softly shut, cutting off all sounds and gazes from outside. He pressed me firmly against the cold wall, his tall figure completely enveloping me. "Jiang Yao, have I ever told you that if you like something, you have to actively fight for it? This isn't the cold and indifferent Jiang mansion, this is the Ning Prince's mansion, your home, things that belong to you." You don't have to yield even a bit. The words your home made my nose sting so, in his heart, the Ning prince's mansion was my home in my past life. I thought the Eastern Palace was my home, but after all the twists and turns, it was just a cage. The love I received was all fake, but here, it was real, a reality I had never experienced before. Seeing me dazed, Jiyu Yenji's eyes deepened. If one day, as Zhao Yang said, someone covets me, wants to take everything from you, would you still yield? My heart pounded wildly, my mind a chaotic mess. I wanted to say that this marriage was something I had forced step by step, using the life-saving favor from the past. I wanted to say that I always thought you never wanted to marry me, that you were only compromising out of obligation. I wanted to say even more that I had privately speculated countless times, thinking you disliked women, so you only treated me this way to avoid rumors. 1,000 words stuck in my throat, but in the end, I only silently shook my head, unable to utter a single one. My silence, in Jiyu Yenji's eyes, became a tacit admission of cowardice and distance. He slowly leaned in, his warm fingertips gently brushing my cheek. His low voice sounded by my ear, carrying a faint smile. What are you thinking? My whole body stiffened, and I instantly dared not look into his eyes. No, it's not that. I thought you were marrying me out of obligation, forced by the favor. I thought, if you had someone you liked, I naturally shouldn't mind, but this didn't make him happy. Instead, he suddenly grew angry. You're quite generous. I'll say it one more time. Remember it well. In this world, no one can force me to marry, unless I am willing. No one can compel me even a bit. He leaned in, his nose touching my forehead, his warm breath completely enveloping me. His voice was tender and solemn. Jiang Yao, do you know how long I've waited for you? So long, so long. This marriage was never something you begged for. It was me who longed for it, who yearned for it, for so long. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed. My days with Jiyu Yenji were peaceful and carefree. The timid, cowardly nature I once had, the one that always backed down at the first sign of trouble, had long since been reshaped by his unwavering favor and support. Day after day now, I was composed and unafraid, daring to speak and act as I pleased. No longer was I the Jiang Yao who tiptoed around the Jiang mansion, living under others' scrutiny. The Prince Ning's residence remained as tranquil as ever, with few women in the household, just me, old Mammy, and Bai Dao, the three of us. No harem strife, no scheming or backstabbing. The entire estate was filled with a warm, steady peace. And just as the year drew to a close, the residents received the most joyous news. I was pregnant when I found out. Bai Dao's eyes crinkled with joy as she bounced around me, chirping, Your Highness, this is wonderful. Our residents will soon have a soft little girl. Old Mammy, standing nearby, chuckled and retorted, Nonsense, I bet it'll be a clever little heir. The two of them, one old and one young, bickered and wagered over my pregnancy, lively and full of life. When Jiyu Yenji returned and heard the news, his eyes softened with tender smiles. He reached out and gently placed his hand on my belly, his gaze brimming with adoration. I looked up and asked him, laughing, whether he thought it was a boy or a girl. He leaned down, pressing his forehead to mine, his tone confident and bold. With how impressive I am, it's bound to be twins, a son and a daughter, making it perfect. Back then, I thought he was just joking. I never imagined his words would come true. After 10 months of pregnancy, I safely gave birth to a pair of dragon and phoenix twins, just as Jiyu Yenji had said, one son and one daughter. Year after year, a matching pair. Once I recovered, Jiyu Yenji personally taught me how to ride a horse. I used to be timid and afraid, never daring to touch such things, but he was always patient and gentle, steadily holding the reins, never leaving my side. He never forced me to be brave, he only silently supported every ounce of courage I mustered. He taught me to break free from my past cowardice, to dare to refuse, to dare to possess, to dare to fight for everything that was mine. He was never the one to control me, he was the one who completed me, healed me, nurtured me. My beloved, when the children were a little older, we took them to Jiangnan to visit Zhao Yang. Pei Jinglan had ascended the throne, just as in my past life, ruling over a vast empire. When I went to the palace with Jiyu Yenji, I saw him once. The emperor, now supreme, had shed the greenness of his youth, his brows were steady and solemn, but when his gaze fell on me, It still held a lingering tenderness and regret that could not be dissolved. He dismissed his attendants and stared at me for a long time before asking softly, "Are you happy?" I nodded without hesitation, my eyes filled with steady warmth. "I am very happy." He let out a low laugh, bitter and lonely. He said he used to think that marrying my elder sister was the wish of a lifetime, but only after years had passed did he realize the truth in his past life. Marrying me started with gratitude, but over time, love had grown in the daily moments together. In the end, he regretted it, but the empire was in his hands, and everything was set between us. There was now a gulf of years and mountains. With no chance left, my elder sister finally got what she wanted. She became the empress, basking in the highest favor, but she was gloomy and unhappy all day, always looking at me with a faint resentment in her eyes, though she herself couldn't say what she resented me for. Maybe it was that I was born gentle but was simply lucky, or maybe it was that she used to overshadow me in everything, yet now I lived more peacefully and completely than she did. My mother once fell seriously ill. After she recovered, she came to see me several times, but I turned her away each time. Half a lifetime of harshness, half a lifetime of coldness. The debts of the past had long been settled. I had no intention of having anything to do with her. She once wrote me a letter. In it, she said that of her 3 daughters, I was the most considerate and gentle, yet she had treated me the worst. But her awakening came too late, and the rest of her life was left with nothing but endless regret. My youngest sister also got married, but not to the 7th prince. She had boldly confessed her feelings, only to be gently rejected by him. For a while, she was utterly despondent, even trying to take her own life. She was saved by a warm-hearted physician who happened to pass by day after day. She and the physician grew close and fell for each other. Another cold winter came. I leaned into Jiyu Yenji's arms and fell into a deep dream. In the dream, it was a scene from my past life. Also in winter, I saw Jiyu Yenji carrying that little beggar. He glanced at me from a distance. "Go, take back the talisman she begged for, Your Highness. That's the crown princess's gift to the crown prince. Wouldn't it be? It's fine, her things can only stay with me." Then the scene shifted to my elder sister's birthday banquet at the Jiang mansion. Someone had fallen into the pond, and I was about to jump in to save them, but after I saved someone from the water, I was falsely accused of pushing them in. Soaking wet and disheveled, I collapsed onto the ground, utterly unable to defend myself. Without asking a single question, my mother strode over and slapped me across the face. That day, I sat there, rooted to the spot, for a long time, never getting up, as the water stains on my clothes slowly dried in the wind. Across the courtyard, Jiyu Yenji stood shoulder to shoulder with a friend, quietly watching everything unfold. This second miss of the Jiang family, her looks are far inferior to her elder sister and younger sister. No wonder she's so neglected at home. Jiyu Yenji fixed his gaze on that solitary figure, the corner of his mouth lifting slightly. "Looks are all superficial. A kind heart is what's truly precious. This girl has a resilient spirit that's rare and admirable." Surprise flickered in his friend's eyes, and he teased with a grin, "From the way you're talking, could it be you've taken a liking to her?" Jiyu Yenji answered without hesitation. "Yeah, once I finish dealing with these dirty matters at hand, I'll go to the Jiang family and propose." But fate had other plans. A year later, by some twist of events, I became the crown princess, missing the expectations and the rush he had set for that year. Waking from the dream, my eyes were slightly moist, my chest aching with a burning heat. So he had already held me in his heart in that past life. So I, who had drifted through half my life, had been loved so earnestly by someone. I leaned down and gently kissed his brow and eyes. He snapped his eyes open, stretched out his arm, and tenderly pulled me into his embrace, his voice husky and soft. "Why are you awake?" Resting my head on his shoulder, I shook it. "Nothing, just had a dream that we'd be together, year after year, forever." He tightened his arms, lowered his head to kiss the top of my hair, and smiled. "That's not a dream. Through this life and beyond, through the yellow springs and the azure sky, we will stay together, year after year, never apart." The end. That's the story for today. If you enjoyed this video, please give me a like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment below. See you in the next video.